everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of De Moivre's theorem, finding the nth root. So in the first part of the video, we solved to get z cubed is equal to 8i into general polar form and then into De Moivre's theorem. Now we're going to find out what are the three roots. And the reason we're talking about three roots is because our z has got a cube on it, so we're looking for three roots. So let's begin by finding those three roots. So here is our question again. So let n equal 0. So we're going to come along now and put in n in here, which is 0, and over here as well. So we have 2 by cos 1/3 pi over 2. Now, if we put a 0 in here, we know that this is going to go to 0. So let's just leave it as pi over 2 plus I sine 1/3 pi over 2. So in our calculator, we're going to type in pi over 6 because we multiply top by top, bottom by bottom. So let's leave the 2 alone here and let's type into the calculator pi over 6. So when you type into your calculator pi over 6, you get root 3 over 2. And when you type in sine pi over 6 into your calculator, you get a half. Put the I to the end. So multiplying your 2, we get root 3 plus I. That's our first root when n is equal to 0. Now let's do when n is equal to 1. So z is equal to 2 cos 1/3 pi over 2, and now we're putting in a 1 here, so we have plus 2 pi so just take your time with this because there's a lot going on in these questions. So 2 pi. So let's simplify it first before we move on. So leave our 2 alone. We'll leave our 1/3 alone as well, and let's just add pi over 2 and 2 pi. So we get 5 pi over 2. And let's multiply in the 1/3 now. So pi over 6. 3 by 2 is 6 there. Now let's go to the calculator. So we'll leave our 2 there again, like over here, and we're going to put in the calculator cos 5 pi over 6. So when we put 5 pi cos 5 pi over 6 in, we get minus root 3 over 2 plus sine gives us a half I. So when you multiply in the 2, we get minus root 3 plus I. So far we've got two roots. We've got root 3 plus I, and we've got minus root 3 plus I. Now let's find out the last root. So let n equal 2. So that's equal to 2 cos 1/3 pi over 2 plus. Now you can see here that we are putting in a 2 here, so now we have 4 pi. So 4 pi plus I sine 1/3 pi over 2 plus 4 pi. So there's my cos 1/3, and we get 9 pi over 2 here now. Okay, so let's multiply in the 1/3. 9 pi over 6 9 pi over 6. Let's go to our calculator now and let's type in what is cos of 9 pi over 6. So it's 0. And sine minus 1. So that indicates that we get minus 2i as our third root.